Okay, so we go to the next topic. 8A, because this one additional. So what should we do after relay trips? Okay. So what happens after a relay operates? What happens after a relay operates? So the easiest, if you go there and reset and restart. So that's a big no. Never do that. So questions to us. Do not reset any event or trip lock when resetting the internal lockout of the protection relay. Obviously, these are the kind of things that people, the chargeman or the engineer would normally do. You would like to revive back your system, the power system. So obviously you have to reset some lockout relay, some internal lockout before you are able to energize back the breaker. But make sure when resetting those relays, do not wrongly reset any event or trip lock. Because some of the modern relays, we are using the internal lockout instead of the physical lockout relay for this. So people might wrongly reset this event or trip lock, and this one will be a hindrance to us for when we want to troubleshoot in terms of finding what is the actual last cause of trip, what is the last event which occurred prior to the tripping. Okay. So normally after relay operate, you would see whether this is a feeder going to a transformer, a feeder going to a motor, whether it's the feeder going to switch gear. So you have to check the damages. So go to the location of the switch gear, go to the location of the motor, transformers, or equipment, capacitor banks. Note for any unusual smell or sounds by taking a walk at the substation. Okay. So you might also need to reconfirm the protection setting. Is it left in the normal setting after relay calibration, or was there and is there any proper discrimination? Okay. So this first issue normally happens after relay calibration. People forget. They do relay calibration and forgot to reinstate back to the normal setting. And the tripping might happen maybe within 6 months or 1 year or 2 years. And when you find out, actually it's not due to actual fault. It's actually due to wrong discrimination, due to the setting has been set at a lower setting than the actual required setting. So number 3, note the status of the circuit breaker, DC supply, standby generator. So you need also to look at the status of the circuit breaker, DC supply, whether the DC supply was lost. But most of our system, we are using shunt trip means the DC supply is only used when tripping. So, but some system they use a fail-safe type, which means that the DC supply must always be on. If the DC supply fails, then the relay will trip. So these are the other external causes that can cause your relay to trip and your breaker. Okay, then whether there's any standby generator that kicked in. Alright. So once you've gone through on the bigger picture, so you go straight to the relay and note the relay events and trip locks. What happened just before the tripping, and what is the tripping lock? What was the trip cause due to? Overcurrent, a fault, overload, or differential. So all these trip lock will tell you all this unless you are using the normal electromechanical or the relay So or the even numerical relay, they do not have this kind of event or trip lock So it depends on what kind of protection relay that you have. You will need also to note any pickup current but did not trip. So this one might you need to refer to other upstream relays. For example, maybe the motor trip, but you also need to see on the upstream breaker whether that relay also pick up any current or not during that fault. Sometimes it will assist us in terms of identifying and troubleshooting the cause of fault. Okay, so you will also have to ask questions such as, was there any activities during the time of tripping? Maybe ada orang buat kerja kat substation ke, ada orang buat kerja kat overhead line ke, dekat dengan ABC air bundle cable ke. And then mungkin masa trip tu starting of a big motor ke, and baru commission motor baru tapi kita tak adjust lagi upstream punya incomer punya setting kan. So mungkin tu menyebabkan trip. Or maybe there was a mechanical stall, so the big motor stall lah. Ataupun was there any transformer or motor that just underwent servicing lah. So these are the typical conditions that may cause electrical issues lah, like flashover, short circuit, things like that lah, that will trigger your protection. Okay. And last question is that people normally forget to differentiate whether the CB, the circuit breaker status, dalam keadaan open or tripping, whether it was in open or tripping condition lah. So if you ask non-electrical, open or tripping is the same. But if you ask electrical, open or trim, is very much different lah between one another. Because open, normally we will refer open condition as bila kita nak open off breaker kan, macam tu. Tapi kalau trip is due to a tripping, due to overcurrent, due to a fault, overload. Okay. So relay behavior during fault, so normally classified in two different ways lah. So unit protection, it will operate in internal fault, but and unstable internally. But for external fault, it will not operate lah. Okay. So non-unit protection, it will operate for both internal and external fault. So it will also operate unstable trip, non-operation. Okay. So type of relay, unit protection, internal fault, operation, failure, and external fault, unstable trip, and stable lah. Okay. Alright. Same goes for non-unit protection lah. So external fault, it will become a backup trip lah. This is if it's a backup protection to the downstream breaker lah. Alright. So wrong. Why can a relay wrongly operate? Why? So it can operate, number one, backup protection operation caused by failure of the main relay lah. Contohnya, patutnya motor relay tu trip, tapi dia tak trip. Tengok-tengok, motor yang terbakar, tapi kenapa incomer trip? So maybe the incomer dah jadi backup protection, so you have to note that lah. So that one is not wrong relay operation lah. It's actually a backup protection because of the failure of your main relay, motor punya relay. So second issue is because of lack of discrimination. So by right, you should discriminate between 250 to 400 millisecond lah, depending on the type of relay. So if you set it too close, lack of discrimination, maybe you did not set it at the maximum fault current, so this can cause mal-operation of your relay lah. Maybe more than one relay can trip at the same time. And then unstable differential operation due to wrong design, wiring or setting, CT shorted on one side, metering CT used. This one is more related to differential relay lah. So there has been cases where packager install packager lah, not electrical switchgear packager like like solar turbine package, turbine packages, gas generator packages. So they are sometimes these small packages, they are not of electrical background. So when they design a differential protection, there was one case, one of the offshore facilities where they use a metering CT instead of a protection 5P20 or class XCT for the differential protection. So every time there's when the generator is starting on no load, there's no issue. But when there is some big load coming into the generator, it trips because the metering CT is saturated. Or it could also be the differential protection triggered due to the wrong design or wrong wiring lah. Wrong wiring means you could reverse the S1, S2 termination. Means one side is looking into the equipment, the other side is looking out of the equipment. So by right, the differential CTs in the zone, both CT must look into the equipment. So must face the same direction of the CT lah, of the equipment. Can also be due to CT shorted lah on one side. Ni kalau you buat relay calibration ataupun baru nak commission, you terlupa nak buka CT secondary punya shorting link. So dia remain shorting. Belah atas open, dia baca current, belah bawah shorted, it doesn't read any current. Okay, number 4 can be due to wrong relay setting during commissioning or after maintenance lah. This one again, like I said, normally if you want to simulate a high fault secondary injection, so it is not permissible, or maybe your equipment does not allow it to go to that high lah. So what you can do, you reduce the setting of the protection and you inject using your secondary injection equipment. Of course the test is successful, but once you forget to reset the relay setting to its normal setting, then that pose a risk lah, where it can trip on wrong relay setting. Number 4 would be CT polarity lah. So the CT polarity is similar to wrong wiring lah. So CT polarity will contribute to the CT reading it wrongly lah. So CT polarity is mainly important for those protection that requires direction. For example, differential and also directional protection, reverse power, all those kind of protection. If it's just a normal overcurrent, then CT polarity is not an issue. But if it is a fault using a summation CT, then CT polarity is an issue because it will sum up all the 3 or 4 CTs lah. So if one of the CTs polarity is wrong, so you will always have a spill or residual current in going through your fault relay. And last but not least is of course unknown reasons lah. Like relay faulty is a batch defect of the relay. So this one, sometimes we can find out, sometimes we do not know even after a few years. In the end, we just replace the relay. But if there's a batch defect, normally you can see there's a batch defect problem lah within the 1 year or 2 years. So if you have a lot of relays in your batch, for example, if you upgrade a relay 100 units and there's a 2 or 3% relay which is faulty due to internal memory or internal card problem, you should go into further detail and ask the OEM to issue for a batch defect lah, so that maybe you will require to replace those faulty units or maybe the whole batch. So normally OEM, after if they receive at least about 2 to 3% worldwide problem on the relay, they will recall that relay lah. Okay, so what are the information required after tripping? So obviously single line, power circuit and schematic. So this one you have to know. The relay settings, the relay setting that was triggered, the upstream relay, the downstream relay. So which relay trip and their settings, which CB trip, which CB open, and which relay picked up but did not trip. And also identify the location of the fault lah. And what was the system operating condition prior to the event? Was it a normal operating condition or was it not a normal operating condition? So all this information you have to gather lah. It will help you in terms of troubleshooting the equipment lah, troubleshooting the tripping punya problem lah. So bila you dah jumpa dah semua info-info tu dah kumpul, so apa nak buat? Number 1, make it safe first. Jangan nak reset relay dulu. Number 1, the damage equipment tu kita kena isolate first. Isolate the equipment, isolate, rack out, probe circuit dead and discharge and earding the equipment. Then you go to the equipment, then you remove the earding, then you inspect and perform lah the insulation resistant and everything lah. So if the damage is very bad, so carry out the repair and high pot if necessary lah. Okay, if it's a wrong relay operation, means the relay tripping tapi tak ada damage equipment. Dia relay trip suka-suka dia. Check the setting, check whether there was any batch defect all around the world, check electrical forum semua tu. And then IR the equipment lah before energizing. So normally kalau wrong relay operation, normally is due to the setting lah. Or the relay is faulty itself lah. So unknown causes, relay calibration, you left it, the relay tester left it in the testing setting, which is maybe lower than the actual setting. Then you have to IR and equipment and high port lah if necessary. So if you are not sure what to do next, for example, you've already checked everything and you are still unsure whether you want to energize or not, please ask and seek expert advice from technical authority of your plant or your company, or from your tester and of course from the original equipment manufacturer for switchgear, for the motor. So that is all on what to do after a relay trips. Alright, so thank you. So if you think this material is good, please share this material to your electrical friends, and do subscribe to my YouTube channel, Crux of EE, and then my Facebook page. Please like my Facebook page, facebook.com/Crux of EE. And if you have any other questions, please throw them in the comments below, or you can email me directly at cruxofee@gmail.com. Thank you.